assembly required, but listeners' discretion is advised. Sit back, enjoy, and don't forget to subscribe or follow. Now, let's not keep you waiting. It's time to welcome your hosts of TNT Podcast, Tara and Tina.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to the show, TNT Podcast. You can follow us on Instagram at TNT Podcast Show or on Twitter at T_N_T Podcast. With your hosts, myself, Tara, and the beautiful Tina.
Hello.
This is episode 9. It's all about design. And tonight we have a very, very, very special guest, an absolute trailblazer to some of us, a god, a real legend. He's played a major role in the success of Chrysler as we know it. And his name is Mr. Ralph Gilles. So everybody, welcome Ralph to the show.
Hi, what a pleasure. What an intro. It's a little over the top, but thank you, Tara. Appreciate that. And I love this. We're Canada and US. So Tina is the US,
Right.
Tara is Canada. Perfect.
That's right. Yeah, we thought it was a great dynamic
Awesome.
for us, for sure. And you were born in Canada.
Well, I was born in New York,
No.
but I was like 10
No.
months old, and I've been living in Quebec and Montreal since till I was college age. And so I am Canadian in soul, in in the way I think and everything, and my A-isms and all that stuff. And I say sorry too much, apparently.
I say too much, apparently. I heard that on the weekend.
And I like
So
poutine.
Ralph,
You like poutine? I love poutine. It's like
Absolutely. Yeah. Tina, you've had it, haven't you? Because I think I
no, remember
what the
you were
hell?
telling me about it this weekend.
was
Mhm.
telling her how to make it.
French
So
fries.
Ralph, Tara and I just met each other in person for the first time this past weekend.
Oh wow.
Like actually got to be in the same vicinity.
You could be
Yeah.
cousins. You could be cousins, I think.
Yeah. Somebody asked us if we were sisters on the
Right.
weekend, actually. Yeah. Chase called me mom once.
Like, hey,
wait,
Mom.
You're not my mom.
How long have you been doing this show, by the way? I've heard of it, and like, so you've met only electronically and not in person, right? So
Yeah,
Right.
we met online, like through the Mopar world, and
Tinder. No.
there's so many. Anyway,
Anyway.
I love your
Um,
background, by the way. I see SRT. God
yeah.
bless. And I know we all know
Yeah.
Tina as a total Moparian. So that's
Absolutely. Yeah, I fell in love with her the first time I talked to her, and she was so funny.
it's hard not
And
to.
we had similar interests, we just clicked really well, and then, got talking about doing a podcast and thought, we can stay connected with the community and maybe get others interested in the sport. Some people that don't even know or realize that they can take their car to the track. Yeah, and I love the people in the community. So and
And I
get some
tell that.
more women too involved. Get some more women out there.
Amen. And the people, and I talk to my wife. My wife, I take her everywhere. You know that, right?
Yes.
She loves it. And she goes, yeah, you go do the car stuff. I love the people, like literally. I mean,
Oh,
let's face it, we
right.
drive the cars like this much, but we hang out with people that much. And at the
I
end
tell
of the day,
you,
that's what it's all about. So it's a
it was
cool
my
thing.
first chance to meet many of the people I'd been talking to online at the Modern Street Hemi Shootout down in Virginia this past weekend. And I went to spend some time with Tina and the people. Unless you have experienced it, right? Like incredible, just amazing people, beautiful relationships. Like,
Especially
so,
now. Especially after being
yeah.
locked up for like almost 2 years, everyone's like, all right, let's get our friends back together. But you know what I've loved? I've seen exactly what you guys are doing. You've been keeping the community going in all these amazing ways. And all the people that were kind of like looking at social media sideways embraced it finally. And I was like an early adopter of social media. And if anything, I'm like just loving it. I love to see all this new activity. So it's great.
Yeah. And all
Right.
these relationships, coming together. And that's where I've met like the most amazing people in the whole world.
Awesome.
I tell people that if you don't have a car enthusiast or a drag racer or somebody in your life, get one. Get one.
They're cool. They love
Because just I'm still so pumped from the weekend. I'm still feel like I'm coming down off just being there and a part of it and meeting everybody. And Yeah,
And
the
as
community's huge.
Midwestern car people, the weather's going to break this weekend. It's going to be over 80 degrees for the first time in probably 6 months. So I'm like,
Oh, nice. Yeah. Yeah, not good
Time
weather
to get the
here.
cars out.
exactly.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, the weather's been brutal in Canada, so I don't know. Hopefully.
All right.
I'm bracing myself.
Yeah. Don't come back anytime soon.
Don't
It's so
ever
cold.
underestimate Tina. She's so quiet and pleasant, but then the zingers are coming.
Boom.
What?
I'm ready.
Boom. When she hits that
I'm gonna be
958.
good.
Okay.
I'm gonna be good. So tell us about getting started in the design world.
Well, I grew up, I joke, I grew up in the ugly 70s. You know, when I remember walking to school every day and just looking at the cars just parked. I was a very observant kid. I used to just notice everything. And I was like, why are the cars so damn ugly? I mean, the 70s, like if you remember the muscle car, quote unquote, died in 1971. Everything
Right.
turned into these front wheel drive, tiny little Pintos and Chevettes. And I remember like my posters had Barracudas and, you know, Chargers, 68 Chargers and all that
Right.
cool stuff. Like, what happened? Like, did I miss this whole era? And then I remember seeing a 911 saying, well, okay, that's different. A Countach, because Formula One used to come to Montreal every year, and all the wealthy people in the Northeast would congregate. And all of a sudden, the yucky cars became cool again. I was like, okay, I'm feeling something. My heart's pulsing, right? So I started to understand cars more and the emotion behind it before I understood about designing. I didn't know anything about designing. I just went home and I would draw a lot and try to emulate what I saw. And it wasn't until later on in life I figured out that it was a job. It was something you could actually do for a living. Then because of Chrysler, you know, I wrote, my aunt made me write. I didn't write, but my aunt forced me to write a letter to Lee Iacocca of all people. And they wrote back to me and said, you know what, you seem like you like to draw and there's actually a job. So
I actually
Right.
have a picture of that letter.
oh my God, no. Oh my God.
Yeah.
How embarrassing. I'm glad you do, because people think it's BS, but it really happened.
No, it's you know what? It's not embarrassing, because I think this is what grabbed you to
Yeah.
be faithful to Chrysler or want to be a part of
And
what they were.
it's so crazy. It's like people ask me, I've been there now 29 years, almost 30 years in the company, and people say, what are you doing? By now you should be on career number 5. And I'm like, it's in my skin. It's in my blood.
It's in
I
your
love it. And
soul.
yeah, and when I joined Chrysler, it was going through another, you know, Chrysler's had its brush with death a few times, and I actually love that, the underdog. You know, I had a chance to work at the other 2 companies and thought about it, but I love the underdog spirit, and I love when I visited there. I love the spirit. I saw the Viper just starting to be. It was just a concept, and I thought no one's gonna make that car. There's no way. No one's crazy enough. And when I met the people that were starting to work on, I was like, oh my God, they are crazy. They're really gonna do this, you know? Because I joined right as the 92 was about to launch. And I was hooked. I was like, it's over. This is so cool. So
That's amazing.
yeah.
So to people that maybe aren't part of the automotive world, what does it mean to be chief designer? Like what's
Ooh, it's a big responsibility. I kind of grew into the role. You know, it's not something you go to school and you become a chief designer. It's just something you kind of earn over time and all that. And it is about, you know, getting credibility, you know, so I had to do my time as a designer, and then my time on the board, then a manager, and kind of work my way up. But I did get, let's say, promoted a little prematurely because there was a lot of, let's say, turnover, and my boss just up and quit one day and he goes, here's the keys, buddy. And I'm 38 years old and I'm running the entire like design. It was like, whoa. So to be honest, I was overwhelmed, but I quickly learned that, and half the people that worked for me were older than me by 10, 15 years. So I had to learn a whole different dimension of how to lead people, how to be, and not really lead them, but say, how can we align all this energy and make it focus into something? Because there's no way I could tell someone who's older than me what to do. So it was more about, let's team build, let's figure out how to work together, and let's get the best out of each other. And that's what I ended up figuring out how to do. And over time, yeah, I became the bosses and I got, you know, put on the executive board. That's when I really learned about the business. But at the end of the day, it's all about passion, you know. I wanted the company to do well. I wanted to make stuff that people would make car clubs about and talk about and be proud to drive to the Dairy Queen. You know, it was all about that. It's like, why should a car be boring? You know? So, and then eventually I ended up hiring people. Like when I was in interviews, I was looking for that twinkle in people. I've hired probably 800, maybe 1,000 people in my time. And I've always been looking for that little twinkle in their eye. It's like, aha, you get it, right? Because if it's just a job, see ya, you know?
Yeah.
But if you want to do something cool and leave a legacy and kind of take the brand another level, then let's go. You know?
So how many people are, like when you were in school, how many people are in a design class? Are there a lot of students in a in a
Well, it was
class?
one
Yeah,
of
like is it popular?
It's kind of,
Yeah.
I guess, like the military. I remember it was about 80 kids signed up for transportation design, and they did that famous thing. Well, look left and right because neither of you will be here, you know. And my
Wow.
graduating class was one of the small. It was 13 out of
Okay.
80 made it all the way through the transportation. Today, the classes are about 20, 25. At the same school, I actually hired from CCS where I went, College of Creative Studies in Detroit. But it's a
Mhm.
very small field. It really is. I mean, every year, if you look at, there's a handful of schools in the U.S. There's a handful in Europe. There really isn't that many. So you probably graduate 100 car designers a year at best. So it's a
Wow.
very tiny field because it is really a skill. It's not something you can really learn. It's something you develop. You kind of have it or you don't type of thing.
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah, right. Oh, go ahead, Tina.
So when you start out in the design world, what's the first job? Do they just get to design a whole
You're gonna laugh.
car?
I was
Yeah, how
excited.
does this
I
work?
got to do you remember the Chrysler Concorde?
Yes.
Okay,
Yeah.
I had to do the temperature adjustment knob.
See,
A little round
that's what I
knob that you
meant.
turn to adjust the temperature. Itself, yeah, I started with interiors and I did a lot of birthday cards for people. No, I'm just
That's
kidding. But I
hilarious.
started in interiors and then got bigger jobs and finally got a concept car. I worked on the Intrepid concept
Mhm.
car with Bob Boniface, who's moved on, and then I worked on the Jeep Jeepster. So I just got in Jeep Liberty, and also then I worked on the 300, which was a big program for me. And it just was a blur after that, to be honest with you. But
Right.
they kind of throw you in the deep end. That's one thing about Chrysler. I didn't do knobs for long. I mean, before you know it, they would we actually to this day we compete sketches. So whoever has the best sketch, doesn't matter if you're in a company. Even interns have actually had the sketch. So you could be an intern or a 10-year veteran. If it's the best sketch, we'll make it happen. And that's what everyone loves. It's not about a hierarchy or only the managers get to do it, or
Right.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
Oh,
Right.
that's
So
great.
basically, you all sketch things and
Yeah, we sketch, we
look.
draw. It sounds a little juvenile. What's changed today
Mm.
is we used to steal Xerox paper out of the copy machine to sketch. Today it's all digital. We have these awesome
Right.
light tables and you know, we don't use pastels and airbrushes anymore. It's all electronic. But at the end of the day, it's still about the sketch. It's still about that initial emotion. Yeah.
Right.
So how does that go? The sketch go into the clay? Like
Wow.
I assume a whole different person does clay,
Yes.
correct? From
Yes.
what I
We
can
have a
tell.
Yeah, and
Okay.
that's actually a concern of mine because that skill is kind of fading out a little bit, but it's a very manual job. Yes, the people literally they're artisans in their own right.
Mhm.
We start with what we call a thumbnail sketch, and
Okay.
oh, and no Keith Black, great engines by the way. I've driven his stuff. It pins your soul to the back of the seat when you hit the Keith
Yes.
Black motor.
Yes.
But anyway, so we pick that sketch. Maybe it's 5 lines. It's a thumbnail sketch we call it.
Mhm.
And then we'll render it, and then we'll put it on an easel. You know, in the meantime, we're packing the clay, getting it close. And the best modelers, and most of our guys are top shelf, they'll look at the sketch, and girls, by the way, we have quite a few women modelers that are amazing. They'll
Awesome.
look at the sketch and be able to a scale model replica of the sketch just in their minds, just with their eyes. It's the most unbelievable thing to watch. And then they'll team up with a designer and go back and forth. Once the design gets, let's say, pretty good, and that's where my job comes in, and the manager of the studio, we'll scan it. We'll have a light scanner. We'll blow it up to full size, and then we'll make that same car in full size. And then a bigger team of modelers, maybe 5 or 6, will jump on it, and we call it scraping the clay for about 2 months, maybe 2.5 months.
Wow.
And then we'll scan it and then go digital after that. And then we'll use the clay only as a prove out and small changes. But the initial phase is very much as it's always been. It's manual. It's art, you know. So it's really, really cool. And we actually are trying to find more clay modelers because for some reason they're disappearing. So we're actually getting sculptors from art schools to try to train them.
Oh, that's good.
And they love it because most people that make ceramic pots don't make too much money. So they come to our industry and they can make some serious money.
Yeah. I
Some of
never
our
thought
best
of that
mod-
of even being a job, like a position.
Yeah, it's a
Yeah.
6-figure dot. When you get up there, you can make more than 6 figures being a clay modeler. So,
Oh, wow.
yes.
Wow, that's
Nice.
amazing.
Yeah, a little different than pots, like you said.
Yeah. Yeah.
I love pots, but you know,
Yeah, me too.
that sounded weird.
No. So, what was your first car, Ralph? We'll talk about
Yes.
You won't
What was
even
the first
know.
car?
Maybe Tara might know. I had an Austin Marina, a
that. I
real
don't know what that
piece of
is.
junk. It was in my uncle's backyard, and I said, "Hey, if I can get it to run, can I have it?" And he said, "Sure, go for it." And then my real first car was I had a Scirocco. If you know Volkswagen.
Yes, I
Scirocco.
remember. I
Okay,
used to
yeah.
love those cars.
Exactly. I love this style. It was Giugiaro, who's one of my favorite designers of all time. And I just loved it. I didn't know who he was at the time. I just liked the car. And I
Right.
found out later that he also did an Alfa Romeo that I love. And if you look at the Challenger, I see the Challenger behind you. If you look at the shoulder of the Challenger, so John Hurlitz, who passed away a long time ago, but he did the original Challenger. And he was also in love with the late 60s Italian cars. They all had this very distinct shoulder line. And that actually inspired that car. And I see it when I was in my garage, I had my Hellcat next to my Alpha. I'm like, oh my God, the shoulder is identical.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's one of those things, cross-pollination, we call it.
So that's what you drive now is a Hellcat? Is that your
I've had
Demon?
Hellcat. I had a Demon for a while, but I'm not. I respect Tina. She's an awesome drag racer. I'm not really I'm more of a road racer, so I like
Right.
the wide body because it handles a little bit more tighter than the
Mhm.
Demon. Demon's set up for drag racing, so it's a lot softer suspension.
Right. Can you describe your first experience when you were first out in the field? Like, do you
Designing?
remember? Yeah, do you remember?
Oh my gosh.
You have
think,
to say- what are you laughing at, Tina?
I am nothing. I told him I would be good.
Well, designing is it's one thing because when you're an artist as a student or even a private person drawing, it's a singular activity. You're just doing it for yourself, right? And then
Right.
until I remember when we showed the Jeepster, it was a concept we called the Jeepster at the auto show in Detroit. I remember because I worked on it. Me and Bob did the car, and it came out. Boom! There it is on a turntable. I was like, oh, "That's my car!" And I'm barely I think I'm 27 years old, and this thing is on the turntable. And I
Wow.
remember listening in, and people had no idea who I was. I'm listening to people react to the car, and some people loved it, some people like questioning it, and all the emotions. And I couldn't say anything. I couldn't challenge them. I just had to take it all. It was
You had
so
to take it
wild.
all
It's the
in.
same thing as the internet now. You post something and everyone comments. It was like a real live version of that. And it was like I went home and I think I slept for 10 hours. I was so tired from
So
all that input.
exhausted.
Yeah, but it was fun.
Yeah, it's a lot.
That
to
was the
take
first
in.
one, the Jeepster. If you look it up, I thought it was pretty cool.
Jeepster.
Yeah, a Hemi 2-door powered Wrangler inspired roadster coupe thing.
Okay.
They made models of it. They make really cool Hot Wheels models.
That's
Yeah.
cool. That's cool.
What's inspired you?
Ah,
What does
people-
inspire you?
People.
Yeah.
When people ask me about what design office is like, I say, imagine walking into the X-Men mansion. And all these young designers and older ones are so talented, and they bring such an interesting perspective. They're from all over the world, but they are just unique. They dress unique, they act unique. Sometimes I feel like I'm in this X-Men mansion. Laser beams are coming out of some people's eyeballs, and but I'm just joking. But we're all inspired by even their offices are unique the way, and I miss that during COVID. We didn't really get to interact face
Yeah.
to face, but it's running a zoo in a way. I used to call it the zoo. But it's functional and dysfunctional at the same time. And creative people, you got to let them be. They're most creative when they don't feel constrained. So trying to create an environment that's fun and relaxing. We got rid of ties a long time ago. I dress like this.
Right.
I'll wear a t-shirt. I don't care.
That's
I
great.
and you can't tell the levels. You can't tell who's the boss, who's the manager. Everyone's equal. It's just about ideas and free speech in a way. It's a lot of fun.
So how did COVID affect you guys? How did you
Mhm.
work during COVID?
Yeah.
For 3 weeks, we had our thumb in our mouth, just like going, "Oh my God, it's over," And after a while, we're like, "Okay, we got to keep working." And we had digital day. We actually said, "Okay, go to work. We're gonna line up all the cars and put your technology in your trunk." We literally did that. We had the IT team and some of our greatest people went in there, took everyone's because it was like the movie stopped, right? So all their technology was at work, but they're at
Right.
home. So they went in and we put their technology in the trunk. Everyone went home and set up home offices. And within a few days, boom, the work was incredible. Because
Awesome.
one thing about work, the problem is the culture I've created at work. People do spend a lot of time talking and getting coffee.
Yeah.
So-
Well,
Right.
So when they're stuck at home, they were sketching their brains out. I've never seen better work, honestly. The work was
Wow.
incredible. And about when we went to reviews, like we did these Zoom type calls and stuff, the sketch is the only thing I'm looking at. Because if you think about it, usually there's a wall of sketches and I have to search the wall, but in the reviews it was one at a time. So every designer got equal billing, and it just raised the game. We actually adapted surprisingly quick. We didn't miss a beat. It just was a little different. And then we had to have happy hour. So at the end of the day, we'd have get your favorite drink and let's just chat.
Right. Oh,
That's great.
awesome. No,
That's
that's
great.
awesome. Makes for a
So
nice
we have a couple
environment.
people asking what your favorite Dodge vehicle so far is.
This one.
Yes.
I have a sweet spot for the Viper. I just think it's such an
Mhm.
outrageous. It feels like now that it's gone, people get it now. At the time, they were
Yeah.
like, oh, it should have had an automatic. It should have been this. Should have been mid-engine, but it was what it was. And that was a miracle baby because it was born in the middle of bankruptcy. I mean, that car had no right. Gen 5 had no right to exist. So it was willed on by a lot of passionate engineers and people in the company. So it's special to me for that reason because it's a symbol of survival. Yeah, the Hellcat is really an amazing. The Red Eyes, that whole generation of outrageous supercharged vehicles is hard to beat, but and it really is what Dodge is about. The Viper is obviously an aberration, but it's just that spirit of never giving up and watch this space.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Okay, we have. Of course, they're always asking about horsepower,
I'm a
Yeah.
designer. See, people have.
right?
So I was head of Dodge. I was head of SRT for years,
Right.
but at the same time, I was still design because my boss didn't know what to do with all that performance stuff. And he goes, "You seem to like cars. You go run that too." And I'm like, "Are you kidding me?" And then he gave me motorsports. So I ran motorsports, ran SRT, ran Dodge, and design all at the same time. I didn't sleep. I mean, I was working 14, 16
It's
hours a day
crazy.
trying to manage all that. But we started the process of the Hellcats. Now Tim Kaniskis and his team have taken it to a whole other level. Uh, but just getting the ball rolling. So now I watch them and they're doing great. They're creating that, the chief donut maker. I mean, how brilliant is that, right? So
I know that was great.
Oh, the marketing.
We actually had.
Nobody beats Dodge's marketing.
yeah,
Nobody.
the
Right.
inclusion, right? They
It's
really
amazing.
do include
Yes.
their fans and the whole. They
They
get
do.
it. They get it.
Yeah.
And I used to go. My favorite thing, and that's how I know Tina is going to
Right.
car shows, Spring Fest, whatever it is, just hanging out. In the early days, so funny. I was running internet. Someone was like trying to estimate my salary, and I was getting so mad. No, I don't make that much money. And like, oh
Right.
no, like I gave myself up, right? So they're like, you got to come
Right.
to the Spring Fest. So I actually did. I went to the very first Spring Fest in California. It was only 120 cars. Didn't even know who I was. I was just walking. Again, I wanted to hear the feedback.
Yeah.
The Magnum came out. The 300 was there. Charger wasn't out yet at the time. And it was just amazing to see right away people understood it. It was like, wait a minute, I can get a Hemi, 20-inch wheels, get a really cool car for under 40 grand. It's like that's
Yeah.
changed now, but at the time,
Yeah, hasn't it?
it was a big
Yeah.
deal. It was
Yeah.
a big deal. Yeah.
I was lucky enough to meet Tim at Woodward
Yeah.
a few years back, and just
Dream
was
the
so
Dream
thrilled.
Crew or the
Yeah.
what do they
the
call that
Dream
again?
Cruise.
Roadkill Nights. Yeah.
Roadkill,
Yeah, that
yeah,
was
yeah.
the previous weekend, and then the following weekend was the Woodward Dream Cruise, and I just got to shake his hand and thank him,
Yeah.
for my beautiful car. I wanted to actually get him to sign it, but then I lost track of him later in the day. And
What do you drive? What's your car of choice?
2018 Hellcat
Oh,
Challenger.
Challenger.
How
Yeah.
many tickets do you have? Have you been good?
How many tickets?
Tickets?
None. Zero.
Awesome.
None.
I've been pulled over.
I barely drive it. I'm afraid to take it anywhere.
I've been pulled over a few times, but they always just want to know about the car. They was like, "So tell me more about the car."
I've
Right?
heard that. Yes,
Most
I've heard
cops are
that from
actually
people.
enthusiasts. As long as you're
Yes.
nice to them, they usually love cars. It's kind of
Yeah.
Yeah.
that
The
is
few
so
times
true.
I've been pulled over, they just talked about the car.
Yeah.
A few times, just a few.
Yeah, no.
With the kids in there because
Mom car.
I'm the mom of the year.
Yeah.
So want to know what's the one design that you wish you would have convinced them to build?
Many.
That's
I bet
KK.
there is.
There's a lot. We could spend all night, and I would have to get my favorite bourbon out to talk about that because
We'll wait.
there's so many. We call it, cutting room floor projects, right?
Mhm.
Great ideas. It's always about of money. And when you talk to the bean counters, they're like, "Well, Grand Cherokee makes this much, and these silly cars, So it's always like that. But we actually had a mid-engine Viper underway as a sketch. And you remember the ME 412? You guys remember that? So it was a Chrysler mid-engine 4-turbo V12. This thing was insane. And it was doing 0-60 in 2.9 seconds with just two-wheel drive back. We did this car back almost 15 years ago. And it was really close. We built 3 prototypes. We had, if you Google it, it's Chrysler ME 412. Now that's one. If we had done that car, it was like the Pagani, the McLaren of its time. It would have upset the whole supercar world, but I just couldn't make it work in terms of the investment and all that. But that was a really cool one. Brian Nylander, one of our designers, designed that. Did a great job with it.
Oh, wow. Christopher Bolt's got a question wondering if you helped design the Sidewinder.
No, I did not. But I remember that car, the copper colored car. It was really very unique machine. Yeah, no.
So you remember back in Springfest days, I was always saying, build me an SRT Durango. I've always loved my Durangos, even though I've had the Chargers, the Challengers, and we finally got our SRT Durango.
And they're awesome. They're really
They
sleek,
are.
which I love, you know.
I still have
Wow.
my 392 as well. That's my daily driver, 116,000 miles. I love that thing.
you
It's
kidding me?
beautiful. No, my
Respect.
2018 392,
Respect.
116,000 miles.
And it can still tow. That's what people. It's a
Yeah.
workhorse. It does everything. It can tow. You know, carry.
It's great.
And when you're not in the
It's
mood, it's
great.
actually docile. You can drive it. Like,
Oh,
obviously
yeah.
Yeah,
figured that out. You
they're
can drive-
beautiful,
Yeah.
beautiful cars. The interior too. On
Yeah, we've been.
never mind that, but Tina's truck, that Black Widow Ram, is just incredible.
Thank you.
The
That was a big
interior is incredible.
Yeah,
we've
the
seen a lot
interior is.
and now I just see now that Chevy has just responded. Finally, they're like, okay, we're gonna upgrade our interiors because and Ford is doing the same thing. But I'm proud of that. You know, we've got the best quality truck for 3 years in a row, so it makes me feel good. All that work is paying off.
Oh, it's gorgeous.
It is.
We're actually gaining fans. You know, like the truck is growing in a way. It's all pure want. We're not really even marketing. It's just selling, so it's good.
Right.
Yeah.
And we're
And they
number one in
run
heavy duty, by the way. We're number one, especially in Canada. We kill it in Canada.
Oh, awesome.
And driving them, you don't think it's a heavy duty truck because they ride like a car. They are great. I love my trucks too, as you know. So
Yeah.
I need an unlimited income, Ralph, is what I need.
Yeah.
I have a 2500 and it's
Both
never
of
home.
us.
My 2500 is out, like everybody borrows it. It's like, Ralph,
Right?
hey, get your own. No.
I love my truck.
You'd never
do.
know you were towing anything.
Yeah.
I just
Incredible. Like,
stand out there and look at it some days because it's just so pretty.
And I'm lucky. I always get the newest ones because they know I
Right.
tow my race car. So like, Ralph, okay, you're gonna get the new, and I'm like, thank you. So
Yeah.
it has its perks. Let's be honest. I love my
yeah,
job.
for sure.
So
Absolutely.
Jerome wants to know, did you design the Prowler?
No, that was actually I was there. I was
Mhm.
in the works. That was done by Kevin Verdun and Dan Sims, I believe, a long time ago. And Tom Odette passed away sadly. Great car. And Tom Gale, who is he was head of design a long time ago. We're still friends. He's retired, but he was a hot rodder, big time hot rod lover, and he always wanted to do a modern day turnkey car, and the Prowler was that. And that's another one of those cars that's going to go up in value someday, and already has started to as people get it now. But it was weird. It was, I mean, seeing that roll. I remember going to the plant and watching them build those at Connor, right next to the Vipers. I'm like, I can't believe this company's making this thing.
Right?
Well, Tina, didn't we see one at the track at Virginia this weekend?
Yeah.
That kind of roadster
Yeah.
looking type,
Mhm.
and somebody
Yeah.
pointed out that's a Prowler. I'm like, no
They made
way.
Prowler
Yeah.
trailers. They made all the Skittles colors. Yeah, it was
That's
so
right.
cool.
They had the trailers. I forgot
Yeah.
about those.
They're very
That was
rare.
so cool.
Find one, man. They're like worth gold.
Very cool.
Yeah, right.
So back to design.
Mhm.
If somebody has the passion for it, what's your advice on getting started in the design world?
Well, number one, I would say kind of reverse engineer the career. Google your brains out. Look at first of all your favorite brands, and then you look up head of design for this company, and then it'll show you their whole story and read up on it, and you'll see what school they went to, what it took them to get there. And number one, do you draw? Like being a designer,
Yeah.
if you're not an artist,
Right.
it's really tough. So you have to have some kind of affinity for drawing. And if you love cars, it helps, but you don't necessarily have to love cars to be a good car designer.
Mhm.
You just have to like to design and think, and it's really problem solving at the end of the day. We work hand in hand with engineers literally every day. We welcome them, and it's about solving problems and working materials. But car design is also interior design now. It's infotainment design, fabrics. It's all kinds of stuff. So, and a lot of people go in to sketch cars, and they end up doing the interiors or doing even other parts of the vehicle. But yeah, I would say Google the job. Cardesign.com is there's actually cardesignnews.com is a great website.
Wow.
But yeah, just favorite brand, head of design, and just start digging into their background. They'll tell you where they went to school, and the schools themselves have great information. But I would say, the problem, even when I grew up, the art part of the high schools was not very strong. So some high schools don't have it, but communities do have art programs. There's plenty of stuff online if you want to kind of practice. But what I used to do is just draw what I saw.
Right.
Get a scrapbook and just sketch away.
That's fun.
We've got
Or use Blender now. By the way, I should have mentioned that. There's actually these great 3D tools that you can download for free. And you can, just
Really?
like you can buy 3D printers, you can actually design cars electronically. You don't need a sketch pad. And then
Oh,
now
wow.
buy a cheap 3D printer for a few $100 and like
Yeah.
make a little design and kind of have some fun with it.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
Right on. We've got something else here from Darren of Keith Black Racing Engines. The modern SRT range are some of the coolest car designs ever. They incorporate the design cues of the most iconic cars of all time that are part of the American DNA.
Yeah. Thank you
Um,
for that. I love that, and I'm amazed that it's worked so long. I mean, it's been a while. The Challenger has been around a bit, and it's still selling. Like it has never had a down month. It's crazy. Even during the bankruptcy and the COVID, we never really lost any. It's been a steady seller from day one, and it's
Yeah.
fascinating. All walks of life, all ages. There's something about that
Yeah.
car that just speaks to people. So yeah, we love it. Now
Yeah.
we're trying to move on to the next. We're actually designing the next generation of muscle cars for the brand. We're having such a blast. We're pretty much done with the design. I wish I could show it to you, but I can't.
Yeah. That's
Right.
You'll hear a lot about it in the next, I would say the next 16, 18 months. There's gonna be so much great news from Dodge. So just stay tuned.
yeah. So that's one thing I was going to ask you about for, the future in EV and
Yeah.
how people like myself are really struggling with maybe some of this change that's coming.
Yeah.
Is there anything you can say, any advice at all to help us maybe with this
Well,
transition?
Tara, I feel you. So I also had the struggle, growing up with muscle cars and performance cars. So we've been buying all the electric cars we can get our hands on. We have a test fleet, the Taycan, the Teslas, of course, everything, the Mach-E, and I've been driving them. I actually spent days and days in them, and they actually have more character than I expected. Some of them are truly boring. You fall asleep driving them. And
Right.
others like the Taycan is really exhilarating. The Tesla's it's kind of in between. It can be boring when you're not accelerating. So our task is trying to find a way to give it character, because the rumble of the engine is part of the emotion. But
I know. The
yeah.
sound.
But the other favorite part is the torque. Like when you
Yeah.
accelerate, that instantaneous sensation of torque. Now that's the one thing electric cars do really, really well.
Yeah.
And it's how you feed that power. So in terms of the thrill factor, it's all there. It's the character. So we're trying to find ways to embody the vehicle with a soul. So it's not just this kind of appliance. Visually, there's really nothing to hurt us. So we can actually have even more fun with the visual. You'll see what I mean very soon. It's going to be, we're going to try to make it so sexy that you're like, oh, screw it, I gotta try this. That's my whole.
I think you're gonna have to.
I don't expect anything less. I don't.
No,
I really don't.
I want you to go like drooling and be, oh,
Yeah.
snap, why do you go do this to me, damn drug dealer?
Absolutely. No, because there's so many
And-
people that are up in the air on the
I
fence. We're not
know.
sure. Like, what about the sounds? It's the smells. It's
all of
everything
it.
else that's part of it, And
now gas cars will it's going to be a gradual. It's not going to be like a light switch. It's going to be gradual. So you'll have the choices for a while, and there's still a few more tricks up our sleeve. We're gonna have some fun with the last of the Mohicans. But yeah, it's coming. So
yeah, I was wondering if anything big would be coming for 2023, because that's the last for the Hellcats.
Tim, those crazy cats. That's all I'm gonna say.
He can't say.
I can't say.
So,
Oh, David.
yeah, there's David.
Thank you. Yes, we've been. So I started in interiors. That's where and I really pushed for that. Not just me, but I found anyone that cared about interiors, I put them in one area and said, look, you just do interiors until you figure it out. And we benchmarked ourselves. We benchmarked everybody, and we finally said, let's stop benchmarking and try to lead. And that's what we've been trying to do on the trucks. That was one thing. We couldn't find anything to benchmark. There was nothing that even appealed to us. So we said, hey, let's go set the standard. On the new Grand Cherokee, same thing. At that price point, there was nothing close. So we tried to raise the game, and we found the customers liked it, especially women, by the way. Men will put up with a crappy interior because they like the power, but women won't, right? So
I could see that.
We get literally the hate mail comes from women. Plasticky this. So we really worked on
You get hate mail?
Oh yeah, semi-kindly. It's suggestive mail, I would say. Ideas, let's say, unsolicited ideas,
Right.
but I welcome it all. It's healthy. And my wife, same best critic. So I'll bring an Audi home. Years ago, she goes, "How come the Audi's so nice and your stuff is so crap?"
Yeah.
That was like 12 years ago, and it really hurt. So we said, you know what, you're right. It's not it's easy to say you're right, but actually convincing the whole machine to do it,
Right.
because they always try to take a few bucks out of the car. We're like, no, we want to add money, and people will gladly pay for it if it's beautiful and it feels great. And it's worked, to be honest with you. That's one of actually people named the interior as one of the reasons they finally made the deal on the cars, especially the trucks. You wouldn't think a truck guy cared, but we're winning people over because of the interiors of those
Yeah.
trucks.
Oh, they're incredible.
Absolutely, they're beautiful.
Big kiss on the
Beautiful.
cheek to Ryan. He's amazing.
Here in
Yes.
Canada, we don't have that Black Widow option on the truck. And we got to do something about it. Doesn't get all the goodies that the States gets for some reason. But it's a gorgeous truck. I got to see it. Just absolutely beautiful.
This is a good question.
That's a heavy question, man. Where's my bourbon again? What air design do I struggle with the most? It's the balance of aerodynamics, because as we get to high efficiency vehicles like electric cars, aero is everything. But if I were to do exactly what my wind tunnel guys told me to do, every car would look like a Model 3 or a Model Y, because Tesla designs a car around aero first, and it has that look that I call it the fish look. It looks like,
Yeah.
So we're trying to find a way to keep the character in the car, keep the personality. And if you look at the front of a Challenger compared to a Tesla, let's be honest, right? So we know which one's slipperier. So trying to give it character, but make it as slippery as possible. That's what we're doing now. We're spending so much time in the wind tunnel. But again, it goes back to the challenges. We're having fun.
Right.
Yeah.
How many people do you have on your design team, Ralph?
The office is about 380 just in the US. Active actual board designers, about 67. And I have about 200 people that do just surface. I've got about 30 that do the infotainment systems. A fabric team that's about 26, and then administration, and then model making. We have a milling machine team. We have a whole lab downstairs. And then I have an office in South America. It's about 160 people. China, it's a small office, like 30 people. I think 40, sorry. And Turin's another 400. And then now we have studios in France and in Germany. So all in, I think we're like 1,600 people.
Oh, wow. Are there a lot of women in the design area?
More and more. It's hard
Nice.
to, in our entire color and trim is almost all women. We have a handful in design. It depends what pockets. In South America, we actually have a lot more women. It's very interesting. It's just, but they're not necessarily interested in cars. That's the problem. When we go to higher schools, the field isn't, it's not there. Same with engineering. We're starting to see it now, but we're trying to recruit more, trying to tell our story. We're trying to get our women engineers to go out to their colleges and high schools and talk up the industry. But yeah, that's why my biggest misgiving. I wish there were more, because I want the inside of the office to look like our consumer base. Let's be honest,
Yeah.
Right now it's down the middle. It literally 50% men and women buy our cars. It's right down the middle, which is great.
Right.
Tell us about your Drive for Design program.
Oh my God, it's now I think 10-year anniversary. So Drive for Design is kind of like I was that kid, right, that didn't know what to do. And you go to a school counselor and they usually say, I don't know, like they really struggle. So we said, let's get ahead of it and put out there a competition. It was local. It started off just being the local high schools. And then because of the internet, we were able to make it national, and it worked like a charm. We actually had a few graduates that ended up working for us. Imagine you're a kid sitting at home, seeing this thing pop up, you apply, you end up winning, you go to school, and then you work for the company that you did the competition for, all in the space of 6 years. That's actually happened. Twice actually. So the process is working, but it's really, one is getting the news out. Hey, we exist. There's a thing called car design.
I hadn't heard of it till Tina mentioned it.
Yeah, and it's okay to be an artist. I mean, I think sometimes I was that kid. My parents were like, "Be like your brother's a doctor. Go be an engineer." They don't realize there's a whole field that's just about design. So it's getting the word out, and the competition's awesome. We meet some great kids, and sometimes they don't work for us. They end up working at GM or Ford or Honda or Toyota. But we're just happy to see them go from high school to a profession. That's the most important thing. So Drive for Design is, I think, 10 years running, and some of the work is amazing. We actually, if we can't hire them, we'll hire them as an intern, and then we'll try to give them a scholarship to go to design school. So
that's amazing.
And Mark Trossel, if he's out there, Mark Trossel, you know Mark very well.
Yeah, I know Mark. Yeah,
that was his brainchild. He was frustrated.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's a great thing, and I'll watch you guys every year. The post on that. Zoe likes to draw, so I'm always like, "Hey, Zoe, you should."
And Mark's own son went through the program. It was so cute.
Did he?
Yes.
That's great.
So cool.
I don't see that on any other brands. Of course, I don't really follow the other brands because what are they? But no, I mean,
what brands?
Do they even have brands? But no, seriously, do you know if they have anything like
I
that?
think they have some local college, high school programs, but nothing like ours. Ours
Okay.
is a national thing. So, but
Yeah.
to be honest, GM back in the day, like back in the 50s, they would have like a fair that went around town to town with a design bus. I don't know if you remember that, but if you Google it,
Really?
yeah, GM, same problem. They were trying to find people interested in design, and they would have a bus that would open up with all the clay models in there and sketches, and it's really cool.
Right.
So, yeah.
That's cool. So is Doris, she enjoying the racing? I see her doing more and more of that
Yeah.
as well.
So that's
She's
been a
doing tracks, track
Yeah, she
stuff?
does
Yeah.
tracks.
And
Yeah.
I
Okay.
race. So I race once a month in a Radical series, and she's there helping me out and supporting it. And I've always wanted to race wheel to wheel. I've done it in the past, but it's been a long time. I usually do track days and just do circling, but this time I'm actually racing wheel to wheel. It's so much fun.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That feeling behind the wheel.
Oh my God.
I actually watched a show that you were on, Abstract.
Oh,
That
cool.
series on Netflix. It's
That was
season 1,
amazing.
episode 5 for anybody that's interested. But yeah, you were just some of the things you were saying about getting behind the wheel, and that the rest of us that are in that world can totally relate. You just
A happy place moment, right? So
you come alive, really.
yeah,
Right?
and you detach yourself from your one reality, enter a different one, and it's cool. The problem is, and then of course afterwards you're hanging out with your buddies, so it's really cool.
Oh, that whole
Keeps me out of trouble too. When I can
people.
tinker, I do my brakes, I bleed my brakes, mount my tires, and then I'm kind of focused, so I don't, I'm not at the bar.
Right. Oh,
Right.
yeah. Very focused at the track for sure. Yeah.
Yeah,
Like we were on the weekend.
So here's Gary.
Gary.
Gary, he wants to foot race you.
I'll take you on. You gotta laugh. I was at a wedding and I was literally having a hoedown. I was having the time of my life, and I think I popped my Achilles tendon.
Oh,
Ooh.
that hurts.
Everyone heard it. Like the whole room went quiet. Like, what was that? I kept going for a second. I'm like, oh, this is no good. So I'm not running anytime soon, but I feel better. I can actually, I can do my electric slide. I can't quite moonwalk anymore, but
Oh, wow.
Oh, geez.
I'm joking. But yeah, running is that's not gonna happen.
Did I see that you sold Squirt after all these years?
Tell us about Squirt.
I love Squirt.
Okay, Squirt. It's actually a sad story. So back in 2009.
I'm sorry.
Oh, no, Tina, what have you done?
We're gonna get
ever come back
here.
now?
I'm really gonna get
sorry.
Hold on, I'll be right back.
You got all the time you need. Is that a crying?
I don't know.
What have you done?
Sorry. Ask about Squirt.
So someone gave me this as a gift, and I don't play cards, but apparently the brothers love this stuff. So Crown Royal.
Oh, okay.
So and it's okay to drink on your show.
Absolutely.
So I'm a very modest drinker, but I'm gonna have a little bit. So during bankruptcy, I had just bought a house, like in 2009, when everything was hitting the fans. I had bought a house, and I still had my old house. I thought I'd sell my old house. I couldn't sell it. So I was in this crazy situation where I had 2 houses. I only wanted one, and I had just bought the ACR Viper. I was like, and our finances were not in a good place, right? So I remember Ben Keating. I don't know if you remember him. Big Viper seller, Texas dealer.
Okay.
I called him and I'm like, dude, you've always wanted my car. Are you interested? And he goes, make me an offer. I said, you make me an offer. It was this weird thing. Like, I didn't want to put a price out there. And I said, well, I'll only sell it if you can find me a pristine Texas SRT4 that's never seen salt, And he goes, done. And he gave me this crazy offer plus the car. This was on a Monday, and he had a truck here on Thursday, unloaded the SRT4 and took my ACR away before I could change my mind. That was it. So that's how Squirt happened. So for about 5 years, that was the only fun car I had. And I had Vipers before. I had all kinds of cool stuff, and I sold everything just to survive during bankruptcy times.
Right.
So Squirt was my baby, and of course, like a dumbass, I put a stage 3 on it. And I put big brakes. I had stop tech brakes. I went kind of crazy with it. I tried to make it as best as it could be, and it was fun. I really had a lot of fun racing that thing all over the place.
Is that
I would still like
the
to find one.
signatures?
It has everything, yeah. And I got the engineers to sign it. Dave Zelkowski, who was one of the original engineers. And my friend, his kid, had a similar one to mine, a blue one, and a tree fell on it. Like
Oh.
during a storm, a big oak tree fell on
Oh.
it and destroyed his car, and he was so sad, and he had just got it all done. I told my
Oh.
friend, look, I've been not wanting to sell it, but if there's ever someone who deserves it, it's him. So I sold it privately straight to him, and I know where it is.
That's
Oh,
great, though.
wow.
That's
That's
great.
awesome.
His father's a Mopar fan for life, and his kid's becoming a Mopar fan. So I'm like, perfect.
Oh, that was amazing.
So
That
here,
is that.
squirt.
Yes, it's a squirt,
It's a squirt.
and it went to a good place. So
Yeah.
Mhm.
So,
there we go.
and he was collecting dust here because I've been distracted with other fun stuff. So.
But I still look for SRT4s because I just think it would be so cool to have one,
Oh,
and they're
they are so rare here.
And there's a big club in Canada, but yeah, unfortunately the weather's pretty harsh there for them. But
Yeah, my dad would love one of those. They're
I tell
really
you
rare.
what,
hard to
I
find.
used to get more thumbs up in Squirt than any other car. People just don't know what it is, and the biggest thumbs up from Viper guys, from everybody. So
Yeah.
I remember back in the days that the Mopar Nationals, how many were jerking their seat out and going and running the SRT4s, but they ran really good.
Yeah.
They were fast.
You could run high tens in them. Yeah.
You're right.
Respect.
So Gary said he has one.
Hold on to that,
Yeah.
baby. Yeah, I wish I hadn't modified it so much because it hurts the value a little bit, but it's okay.
Yeah. So I was trying to see. Oh, somebody
I got
asked
a lot
if
of
you were.
crap for that by selling Squirt. I got a lot of heat for that from my friends.
Well, now we hear the story, so it was a good reason.
It's got a happy ending,
It
right?
does have a happy ending.
What's your
So-
favorite color out of the Mopar colors?
Wow.
Yeah, because there's some really crazy colors.
I've always loved B5 blue.
Yeah.
Always. Plum crazy. I love to look at it, but I don't need to own one. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I love that it's out there, but I
Right.
couldn't drive one myself.
Yeah.
Black is always good, but B5 blue, there's something about B5 blue.
Yeah.
I just love it.
Me too. And I should have never sold mine.
And
But
Sweet B, if you're out there,
Yes, Trish.
Trish, she's the reason we have a B5 blue Durango.
Yes.
We had no business doing that, but it's one of those cars that can handle almost any color. Because you wouldn't think a big SUV would look good in blue, but it does. So.
Yeah.
It does. B5 looks good on everything, you know?
I fell in love with, I had a Jazz Blue Pearl RT, and that was a beautiful color. Depending on the light, it looked a little purple, might look a little black. It was
a
beautiful,
great color.
Gorgeous color. I miss that color. Yeah.
I will say that I really like the Hellraisin though.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh yes.
Don't you love our colors of our names of our colors?
Yes.
Like white knuckle.
So much fun.
Like your white knuckle in it on the steering.
Yeah, we had Michigan Salt.
Right.
Michigan.
You remember at Springfest when Trossel took the owners and showed them all the colors? I don't know if you remember that. So we had
yes
names. We had one called Toe Tag.
Oh, I don't remember that
beige,
one.
like a toe tag on a corpse.
Right.
You know?
And of course we had
legal wouldn't let us do that.
No, but now I know what you mean. So it's a good description.
You had Fortuna Gold from John.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we had Shiner Purple because it looked like when you get a black eye, you know.
Right.
So yeah, we have fun with it. But that's a culture of Mopar. It's always been. If you think about, the 60s and early 70s, they had the coolest name for colors.
Looky there. I said it before he even got on there. Hi, John.
Fortuna's Gold. You got it. Hey, John. I love
John's
John.
on there. Yes, we love John.
He's my bald-headed brother. So
I told Tara that we're going to have John on here just to talk about Springfest because of all the years of Springfest. It's a great show.
So they have that every year, Springfest?
Yeah, except for obviously last year, I think it got messed up.
COVID,
right,
yeah.
Hopefully,
hopefully we get back. And if you're in town during Woodward and not off, doing everything else you have to do, you'll need to come to the track because Modern Street Hemi will be there and the Durango will be there.
I'm going to bring a 68 and challenge you.
Okay.
I'm working on a very special car that I haven't shown yet, a 68 Charger that I've been working on for almost 3 years now with SpeedCore.
Awesome.
And I grew up watching Dukes of Hazzard. I mean, I was that kid,
right.
Eating cereal and watching the Dukes of Hazzard. Forget Daisy, dude. It was all about the car.
Yeah, of course.
But yeah,
Daisy?
I've always wanted a 68. So you're going to laugh at me, and this is how deranged. I bought a Helephant engine before I even had a project. I just bought it. I got the very first Helephant.
That's awesome. Crazy.
It's number one, and I stuck it in the corner. I'm like, what am I going to do with this thing? And then I thought about I connected with Dave Silvaggio, who used to be at SpeedCore.
Okay.
Did a lot of the cars for Fast 9. He did Tantrum. Have you heard of Tantrum? The carbon fiber charger.
Right.
And it was at Springfest. Like, we had our own car and they had their car at Springfest. And I saw the Speedcore car. I'm like, oh man, I couldn't stop thinking about it. And Doris being Doris, she let me, you know, I told my kid, you're not going to college for 3 years. But
Yeah, I mean, that's what I told my kids. I'm tired of this
Yeah.
college money. I have cars to buy.
Got other things to do with it.
But it wasn't bad because it took so long. So we've been doing it, slowly.
Right.
But we're supposed to get the car in May. I'm going to do the power tour with it. The hot rod.
That's great.
Tour. It's been a bucket list item to finally do it with Josh Welton. I don't know if you know Josh. He's
Yes, I remember.
So he signed up to spend 5 days in the car with me. That's going to be fun.
Great.
And it's going to be the maiden voyage. So you know how cars resto mods can be. So I hope everything holds
It'll
up.
be good.
Yeah.
It'll be good. And if not, you'll have lots of help. You'll have lots of help along the way.
I've been watching all the videos, all the YouTube videos and it's amazing. Everyone's so helpful and it's fun.
Right.
So fun fact, my car is the first car that Speedcore has ever put windshield wipers on. Like,
really?
I'm saying I'm going to drive it because they're just normally show cars.
Right.
They don't like that. They don't like the ugliness of the windshield wiper. I said, no, I need windshield wipers.
You're gonna need you're gonna have to be able to see the window.
Yeah, I don't think Doris will hang out the window and wipe it while you drive.
Yeah, maybe she'll wipe it with the
sure
rag,
she won't do that for you, Ralph.
Kicking it old
So
school.
You need those windshield wipers.
Get that Rain-X on there.
Oh yeah, I wonder if that
well, I hope you do bring it to the track because that would be wonderful.
Yeah,
everybody would be super excited.
I got to figure out how to. It's all about the hookup. You know that, right? So
right.
That all-wheel drive. I'm gonna have to figure that out. Maybe I'll get some wrinkle walls just for that one day. The Mickey Thompsons.
You will have to start looking now because it's hard to find any tires.
I know, and I put a big. Okay, that's the one Ford part is a damn axle. They do a good axle. I have a Ford 9-inch just because whatever.
I'm holding out. It's been mentioned because I've already broke the diff, so those things have been mentioned, but we're going to pretend we didn't say that word on here.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a bad word.
Well.
That's why we have this.
I wanted to ask you, Ralph, what's one of the most important skills that a designer can possess?
Humanity. I'm not joking.
Yeah.
Learning how to work with people because we interface with the brands, with engineers. So just working on being human, not because designers can be we grow up insular. Most designers are loners. We just sit in a corner and draw. So learning how to communicate your ideas, but not command your ideas, but actually, get everyone to come along.
Yeah. Oh,
that's it. And then of course, raw talent's important, but really the people skills, the soft skills, which, and I spend a lot of time coaching. I love it. I love to watch these kind of, let's say, single contributors grow into leaders and grow into team players. It's a beautiful thing. And it's amazing. Like my dad taught me how to ride a bike. He held the seat and he threw me down the mountain and said, good luck.
You're on your own.
Yeah, literally. He went back to finish his beer and his cigarette. And I'm like, oh, wow. Okay.
Oh, man.
Yeah, it's the same thing. So
they probably have to be able to take constructive criticism pretty well.
And you learn that a bit in school because in school the critiques are harsh. I mean, some of these teachers rip you apart. So that part you learn quickly, but it's interfacing and not getting upset because not everything you make is going to make it. That's the other thing. Learning to accept failure and rejection, and
Yeah, I was going to ask you, does anybody ever go against your ideas? Or...
Always.
Sorry, Ralph. That's
it's okay.
I don't want that. Really?
Yeah,
I guess it wouldn't matter.
Yeah, lucky usually has to do with cost. Some ideas just cost too much. We just simply can't afford some of the crazy ideas we come up with. And then once in a while we take the clinic. We don't clinic as much as other companies. We kind of believe in taste making, not asking. But sometimes you go to clinic and I've had to be restrained sometimes. Like I want to go through and choke the people out. So they said, no, you can't go past the mirror. You have to stay back here, Ralph.
Stay back.
Like the 300 was a great example. It was, that front end's so ugly. The grill is too big. And it's like, well, no, we're trying to give it care. It was like this thing. And that was probably the most contentious car because at the time it was, think about 300. Remember 300M?
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
The 300 was really kind of swoopy, very futuristic. and the 300 was a polar opposite, but we felt at least in that time, it was the right car.
I had a 300 for 14 years in 2005.
Oh, wow.
Absolutely love that car. Absolutely love that car. I used to call it my small German tank.
It was.
Yeah, totally was. Yeah, it was great.
Cool.
Fantastic car.
And I love the people that wave at you, right? So here you are, here, and then you see
Right.
another, you know, if you know what I'm talking, the inner city crew are like, yo.
There's so much you could do to those cars to dress them up too. Like,
I
you
couldn't
know,
believe what people. I still
tons
to
of
this
stuff.
day, I'm blown away by what all I see when I go to Spring Fest. I just can't believe
Right.
the creativity. It's gotten to the wraps and all the modifications. I'm just blown away.
Right. The wraps are a huge thing. And it's just,
Yes.
it's wild to walk around and see what everybody does to the cars.
Yeah, and I like a good
Because-
sound system, but these people are trying to blow their eardrums out of their brains. I mean, I'm like, what is going on? More
Right. Oh, and yes, the Magnum. Still brought up his Magnum.
Oh,
bring back the Magnum.
Oh, we love it.
We love
And
the Magnum.
he still brings us to the track, and I forget how many miles still posted up there for us.
so I wanted, you know, it's the sad story about the Magnum. The reason it died is because we could only make 3 cars at Brampton. So when the Challenger came out, we had like, something's got to give, and actually the Magnum was the lowest seller. It was selling decent for what it was.
Right, but it would be the first one to go.
Yeah,
That makes
so
sense.
we had to make room for the Challenger because the plant only had so much room.
Here we
And
go.
it was the right call in the end, right? So, but
yeah, for
Right.
sure.
Magnum's
Yeah,
special.
makes sense.
And
He
I
has
love
335,000 miles on it.
you have got to be kidding.
Nope. Nope.
Respect.
I knew it was up there. I just couldn't remember how many.
That's
impressive.
awesome, Stel.
What oil are you using? What motor oil is he using? That's impressive. Probably
He'll-
Mobil One or something like that.
He'll probably
I
look
had
up on there in just a second.
Pathetic Pennzoil.
360. I think I had 360,000 K on mine when I got rid of it.
Wow.
But-
Magnum record holder. Ooh, 840.
Gary. I forgot Gary used to have a Magnum as
serious
well.
people that follow you guys. Yeah. I guess it would be the drag racing community, right? So
Right. Yeah. These are some of the modern street Hemi guys that you're
Mhm.
seeing on here. Yeah. So, well, we appreciate you coming on and talking to us for sure.
Oh,
We wish
yes.
we could talk all night long, but as we talked at the beginning, it's past our bedtime.
I'm surprised
So-
I didn't faint or anything.
Oh, there's still
It's like,
there's still with your answer.
there you go. That's good stuff. That's why I run in my cars.
Yeah.
No, thank you. It's been a pleasure, and thank you for the nice, friendly questions. I can't talk about the future, but
Right.
I would
I
like to
know.
tell your community that the passion is alive and well. I mean, we really understand.
for real. You
Yes.
promise.
We're trying to
Of
make
course it
cool.
is.
And we have a lot of gifts along the way, so there's going to be some really
Sweet.
cool products. But if you really want, let's say, the type of cars you like today, you might want to get whatever's coming in the next couple of years. But after
Yeah.
that, stuff that replace them will be epic in their own way. It's a new
Right.
generation, but it'll put
Something
a smile on
new.
your face. You'll still want to polish it and look at it. And I hope that people still congregate around these new generation cars. I think
Right.
I love this community. I love what's become, and
Oh, man.
you guys got each other's backs, and you're having fun. It's just such a cool thing to watch.
You know, it's amazing. Even at the track this weekend, a guy working on his car will stop what he's doing to help the person next to him get whatever they need done. And then he goes back to, like, it's just, I just love it. I love everything about
Imagine
it.
the whole world had nothing but car people. It'd be awesome.
Oh, I say that. Surround yourself by them. The world needs more of them because it'd be a better place. Like, it's
Well,
true.
thank you. And if you know any young ladies out there that want to be in the industry, talk it up. We need you. We'd love to see more women in the industry, and I'm very proud of
Yes.
what you guys are doing.
Thanks, Ralph.
Yes,
we appreciate it.
absolutely. Yeah. Thank you.
They're watching you. They're inspired by you, right? So
Yeah.
I have 2 daughters, so I know.
Yes. Awesome. Yeah, we definitely want to see more women out there, even at the track. And then, like you said, with design and yeah, that's great.
I have one question for you.
For sure.
Who did your awesome graphics? The caricatures in your lead up. They're amazing.
So I don't know if you've heard of a company called Fiverr, Fiverr. They're just freelance people online. You send them what you need.
Mhm.
They do it all up for you.
It's beautiful.
And send it to you to approve or whatever. Yeah, Tina and I, our skills only went so far. And then I found, we could get somebody else to do this, and just gave them the pictures and all the stuff that we
At
were
the next
looking for.
national event, you need T-shirts with that on there. I think that'd be cool.
We have them. Tina got us some. She got us
I will
some.
bring you one
shirt?
in Detroit.
Where's my shirt?
I will
We'll bring
send
you one.
You know, I'm a
100%.
graphic tee-aholic. I have a million graphic tees.
Yes.
Yes.
Tina
I
got
will.
some, and they turned out fabulous. So
All right.
yeah, I would totally
I'll
bring
make
you
sure
one
you get
for
one.
sure.
Men's
Yeah.
large.
Okay.
Make sure
Absolutely.
there's room for the guns. No, I'm just kidding.
You'll
Okay,
get
yeah.
one.
Don't
Alrighty,
worry.
take
We'll
care.
give
It's
you an
been a
extra.
pleasure.
Bye. Have a
Take
good
care.
night.
Get
Good
some
night.
good quality sleep.
Yeah.
Yes. Bye-bye.
See ya. Bye.
Um,
Wow, Tina, what an amazing show. I'm just so thrilled that he, spent some time with us, and
I told you he's a car guy. So,
definitely a car guy. And thanks to our audience, and sorry we didn't get to everybody's comments, but thanks for
Yeah.
for interacting with us. And
Thanks, Chris.
thanks,
Yes.
Chris.
Sorry we didn't get to everybody, but it's a little.
Yeah, and you know what? I think
when we're trying to.
Yeah, we could probably have him back.
Oh yeah,
Again,
absolutely.
at some point,
Ralph will get on there again.
Just a fabulous man, just amazing. So, thank you, everybody, for joining us, and we'll see you in a couple of weeks.
All right. Good night.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye.